Hello, I'm Brandon McGee, and I am the owner of the McGee Law Firm. We're a firm in Fort Worth and Southlake, Texas, who focus our law practice on the areas of estate planning and elder law. And I wanted to take some time to talk to you guys about what we call Medicaid planning. And I've done another segment where we've talked about Medicaid crisis planning. In this segment, I want to talk about Medicaid pre-planning. This is something that I get asked about a lot. For those of you guys who have maybe had a family member who have been in long-term care or who have had a reason to price it recently, it is becoming very expensive across the country, but particularly here in Texas and DFW, large urban areas, it's becoming very expensive. So the question is this, is there something that I can do to set up my estate where I can qualify for Medicaid if I need long-term care, without having to spend all of my money down? A lot of you guys have probably heard of these families who said, I had to spend everything down to $2,000, or maybe a married couple. We had to spend every dime we had down to $126,000. Then we qualified for Medicaid. There are things that you can do through pre-planning to set your estate up to qualify for Medicaid without having to spend all of your money down. Okay, just please get that in your mind. It is available. It does exist. What is this? How can we do it? It's through use of a document called an Irrevocable Medicaid Trust. So we're going to be focused on a trust that is irrevocable. So it's not revocable, it's irrevocable. Okay. And in this trust, we're going to set it up to where we fund our assets that we want to protect into this trust. So the trust becomes the owner of the assets rather than you being the owner of the assets. Rather than John and Mary Smith, it's going to be the John and Mary Smith Irrevocable Trust that owns the assets. However, there is a 5-year look back on these assets. And what that means is this. If my mom, for example, has a big medical issue, it's going to require her to go into a nursing home. If my response is to run to see an attorney and set up an irrevocable trust and put all of her assets in that trust, that is simply not going to work, because Medicaid can look back 5 years. And if those assets, my mom's assets, have not been in the trust for 5 years or longer, she is not going to qualify for Medicaid. Okay, she's going to have too many assets, too much money, and they're going to disqualify her. So this is something that is for people who are pre-planning. It's something for people who don't have an immediate or an emergency need. It's for the families who are thinking ahead. And I can tell you firsthand, this device has saved many, many Texas families hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because on the other end of the spectrum are the families who absolutely did no planning. They also didn't do any emergency Medicaid planning. And they spent down almost all of their estate, in some cases all of their estate, to next to nothing before Medicaid would allow them to qualify. So I want to encourage all of you guys to come in and sit down with me and let's have a conversation about this. Our first consultation to any individual or any family is always complimentary. We're not going to charge you. This is a fairly detailed area of the law. There's a lot of things to know that I'm not going to discuss here on a little 5-minute video clip, because I don't have time and it would probably confuse you more than it would help you. But if you want to come in and take advantage of that complimentary consultation, I'd be more than happy to take plenty of time to take a look at your family, take a look at your assets, your estate, and walk you through how you could possibly set up for a Medicaid claim.